Alright, welcome back to my scenario where civilization starts over. We're now on episode 2. In the last episode, we saw the first civilizations form. And that's about it. So let's move on to the episode. So, the red team, their explorers are going to go out west and eventually find the Strait of Gibraltar. And they will cross into Iberia and start exploring out here. And they will be forming a small little nation that will influence a lot of other nations in the region. And this tiny little nation right here. Now, they'll kind of be like Rome from Ada's Pro's where civilization started over. They will be quite nomadic. They will like one day they'll be like in Germany and the other they'll be in Iran. But yeah. They are going to be influencing a lot of things. Yeah. Also, I should add Bermuda. That's the shape of Bermuda, right? Right? Probably not going to notice it much. Anyways, this nation is going to expand into more of Iberia. And also get the island of Western Mallorca. I don't know what this island is called. All the Spanish people out there, what's this island called? I don't know what this island is called. Anyways, they're also going to be I knew you were nomadic, but you're not this nomadic. Anyways, they're going to be expanding right here. There's even going to be another nation that's going to form. And also the blue team is going to explore the Adriatic. Now, there are several tribes that have settled into Italy. But this will be the main one. This will be the main one that will be influencing a bunch of them. It is going to start right here. can call this like Savoy or something. I don't know. Light green team. Anyways, Blue Nation will expand further out here and grab a few port cities along the Adriatic coast. Now, they are obviously a maritime empire, but they can't hold their claims for too long. That is going to be very clear very soon, as there's going to be a bunch of times where expansion will be halted because another major power has taken their land. Where have I seen this? Anyways. The Egyptians are going to explore more into the Levant and just Arabia in general. And this tiny little port city will now be known as something else. Whatever this is. Judea, basically. Yep. And it's going to be expanding into this region. And it's going to meet up with the Egyptians at the Suez Canal. Their capital is right here. No, it's not like that. No, it's not like that. It's like that. Oh well. And the capital of this nation is here. Capital of this nation is here. Capital of this nation is here. Alright. We have a pretty good starting thing. Also, Sicily is going to take the rest of Sicily. And this tiny port city will be its own nation. Now, we basically have our first micronation. And no, it's not of a capital because it is itself a capital. Yeah. And because the red team is very well adapted to the desert climate, they're going to be expanding well into the desert, eventually meeting up with the port city that they had in Cyrenaica. And they're also going to have a few port cities along here, some on Elba, Corsica. They have several other port cities, like in Judea, Turkey, Greece, Iberia, Italy, but these are like the major ones that are like, yeah. And pretty soon the entirety of Elba, this part of Italy, and parts of Corsica, in fact, all of Corsica, are now owned by the Red Team. The Red Team is quite powerful. Now, we have our first war. This is between the Red Team and the Purple Team. And that is over the island of Corsica, these two islands, and the island of Elba. Now, the Red Team wants this, but the Purple Team also wants this. I'm gonna make like disputed territories between two nations. Okay. Yeah, because this is disputed between the Red Team and the Purple Team. The Purple Team said that, like, they already made settlements over in Corsica before the Red Team even knew that Corsica existed. They did back in episode 1, so... Shut up. And pretty soon, they go to war. Now, technically, both nations own these islands. But if you really want to think about it, they technically own this much of Corsica. And this much of Elba. And technically this half of Sardinia. But they're still going to go to war over it. It's like the French and India War. It's just... it's dumb. But they still go to war over it. And that's all that matters. So the first battles start on Corsica, of course, where this all started on. It's going to start when the Red Team occupies these towns. The Purple Team will obviously get mad at this and send in their forces to reclaim it. But that only sparks something else, as the Red Team will start invading and occupying more port cities, and even threatening the main one, which is right here. The team will start getting these islands. Yeah. In response, the Purple Team will occupy the whole island of Elba. This would be the complete start of the war between these two nations. Now, I'm gonna mark this part as pink just to show like they're occupied by both nations. So they will start fighting right here over their ports and their settlements. That would not really be successful. But in the meantime, the red team would occupy the island of Elba on all sides, starting with this side, then ending with the other. Then they're forced to leave to Corsica. The whole time, did I say Sardinia for this island? I can't believe it. Anyways. The Sardinians will start making settlements. Again, this is not accurate, but yeah. And so the red team will do the same. And now there is distinct claims. But because of the fact that the red team is like right there, like they can surround them, the red team decides to directly invade Corsica, starting with a small invasion, but then eventually from all sides they're cooked, because the red team is much more powerful than the purple team. And the red team will gain these islands. But if you remember from episode 1, the blue team mentioned that any nation that would be formed out of their people would be allies. So the blue team starts sending aid over to Sardinia. And that actually really helps. Sardinia begins pushing back a little bit, reaching these islands and a little bit of their settlement, even invading the red team settlement. Now, they don't entirely kick them out of Sardinia. They just hold them at one city that they had for like 2 years. Just slowly, they slowly just encompassed, they just kind of encircled them until they finally leave Sardinia. And they have to fight on Corsica, if they haven't died already. Which they do begin defending their settlements, but it is, yeah. And so the purple team starts occupying Elba, and the rest of their colonies. But this final move would be the end of it. Let me visualize this real quick. A small boat with about 100,000 soldiers, which is a lot, by the way, especially for this time, starts making their way over to the capital. And pretty soon, they make a landing over at the capital. This would be the end for the red team, as most of their operations is on the capital, so yeah. However, soldiers still fight, and that goes on for a while until the whole nation surrenders. Here's a peace deal. Sardinia gains all colonies and claims that were made on Corsica. And this city right here. And that's about it. The red team is now forced to stay in their own region. They are no longer allowed north of Tunisia. They are only allowed to be in their own region. They're only allowed to be in Africa. And that's it. That's it. Anyways, over in Cyprus. Cyprus is fully explored. And yes, it is colonized. And also some people start to explore Anatolia. With small little port cities right here. Oh yeah, by the way, the purple team has some of these port cities, so I'm just gonna mention that. I'm just gonna mention it. There's nothing else about that. That will not be important later. Definitely. Also Greece. That's explored. Why isn't it? Oh. I'm gonna have to fix that. Anyways, at this point, the entire Mediterranean is explored. And there's been a lot going on. During that time. But one of the main things that have happened is the creation of a Greek nation. Now, I might be wondering, that's not really that important. Greece is, not really that important country. It is. Look at Greece's position, alright? We have the Black Sea to the northeast. We have the Mediterranean to its southwest. We have the Adriatic to its northwest. And we have Egypt and Mesopotamia to its southwest. Southeast, I mean. And that's a really important place to be, because if you're in Greece, you have the privilege to be the trading empire. You can do that. And that's exactly what this new nation is going to do. Of course, it's going to start out small. But it's going to be quite important, because it's going to connect the world together, basically. It's going to connect, like, America to, like, Japan. Like, that's, like pretty important. Like, Greece is, like, a very important region because it's in the middle of a giant sea. So, yeah. And they will claim more Peloponnese. But remember, technically, they own all the dark gold. That's where people actually live. So, yeah. Also, this peninsula is called Peloponnese, if anyone wants to know. Okay, stop with the booing. Anyways. Do we have any more countries to cover? Oh yeah, Egypt. Because Egypt is not allowed to go east of the Suez Canal, according to Judea, they're going to expand west to meet up with the red team. Are they going to fight, or are they going to be peaceful? That's what we're going to talk about. Also, they're going to colonize Crete and Rhodes. Is that island called Rhodes? I know there's the Colossus of Rhodes. Like, I didn't know, like, that's what the islands are actually called. Oh well. Anyways, Judea, like as promised, does a little something and expands. Eventually, they're larger than the blue team. Anyways, that's basically going to be it for this episode. I hope you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one.